people. So if you're black and intelligent, say your name and throw your hands up. Also, let me know what city that you're coming from. I'd like to know what city you guys are coming in from. I wanted to spend a couple of minutes this morning talking about something that I just saw in terms of a comment on my Facebook page, and it really was interesting to me. So I thought that it was worth doing a quick little podcast on this. What's going on, Chris? How are you? First, I want to ask you really quick, please, if you're on Facebook, please share this. If you're on YouTube, please share the link. If you're on Twitter, please retweet. Let everybody know about these intelligent black conversations that happen on a regular basis because we are trying to make black people smarter, and that's black people all around the world. I see Grand Rapids in D.C., New York City, Washington, D.C., from TT. What's going on? Hey, TT. Remember TT? That was Set It Off. I was thinking about that. That was my really bad Vivica Fox imitation. Anyway, Gum said, praise Jesus. I see hello from Washington State. From is that Arnis Villanova? Anyway, okay, so let me just hop into this because you know how I am. Sometimes I get excited about seeing you guys, so it takes me a little bit, a couple minutes to get to the point. I'm gonna jump to the point, and then we'll exchange pleasantries later on. So here's what somebody said that I thought was kind of worth talking about for a minute, just for educational purposes to help us kind of understand why comments like this kind of set us back, or thinking like this sets us back. So I mentioned something where, when you run a business, you have to run ads and things like that. So I had, this ad up that basically where it was basically all about investing in the stock market and stocks that I actually buy myself that I think we want to look at during this crisis. And there was a lady who wrote a comment that I see a lot of comments, like literally every day I get probably 4,000 comments. I get 1,000 emails and 4,000 comments. So I can't read them all. I try to. I read as many as I can, but I can't read them all. And I definitely can't internalize all that because you'll go crazy if you internalize, the negative, whatever. But this lady said, it was really interesting. She said, I don't want to invest in the stock market because I'm not going to invest in capitalism. Right. And so I saw that and I said, this is interesting. So she's telling me I don't want to own stock because I refuse to invest in capitalism. So this triggered a couple of thoughts to me. Thank you, DeCarlo, for your comment. I see you in there, brother. Thank you. It triggered a couple of thoughts. One was, I think that when you look at the history, when I really analyzed the history of black people, Jamar Carr, why don't you address my response? I just addressed you, Jamar, so you have not been ignored, but I won't see your other comment because the comments are coming in pretty fast. But two thoughts that came to mind. One was, if you look at the history of black people and how we got tied up into the civil rights era and everything else, and what civil rights kind of taught us in terms of, chasing respectability as opposed to economic power, chasing this idea of integration, meaning like I'll have equality when white people let me come into their businesses and give them all my money, things like that. A lot of that actually was rooted in socialism. And I'm not anti-socialist because I think that there's a lot of really good qualities about socialism. In fact, I think America is a little bit too capitalist. But here's the issue. So the person said, I don't want to invest in the stock market because I don't want to invest in capitalism. And I said to her, I just responded, and I said, but sister, have you ever had a job working for a corporation? If you ever had a job working for a corporation, then you've been investing in capitalism your whole entire life. I mean, if you've ever had a job, how many of you, give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no if any of you have ever had a job working for a corporation, or especially a corporation that's run by white people. Give me a yes or no if you've ever had a job in your life where you were working for a corporation in the United States. Yes or no? Give me a yes or no. Thank you. I see a lot of yeses pouring in. I know there's a lot of yeses because y'all black. Shit, we the hardest working people in America. We know this, right? We serve diligently and consistently. And so I said, think about this. You're a human being and your labor has value. Your labor, the reason your boss pays you $20 an hour is because he's making $50 an hour from your labor. You possess what is called human capital. So when you get up and you go to work every day for that boss that you hate, that white man that can't stand your black ass, or that corporation, that capitalist corporation, you're investing consistently in that organization. Without you, that organization cannot function. Without your labor, they cannot build. Without the labor of black people, America does not exist. So you've been investing your whole entire life. The only problem is that you've been investing in such a way that you don't get much of a return on your investment. The only difference between the investment that I'm talking about by buying stock and the investment you've made by giving 100,000 hours of labor throughout the course of your life, spending more time with that corporation than you spend with your own damn kids. The only difference between stock investing and investing your labor is that, at least with stock investing, when the company gets paid, you get paid. But with labor, which is more valuable than money, people say, well, it's not really money. Well, it's your fucking life. You're investing years of your life. Which is more valuable, your money or your life? Which is more valuable, dollar bills or thousands of hours that you're not spending with your own children? You're investing your life. So no, it's not real cash. You're not investing real money, but you're investing something more valuable, more precious than money. You're investing you. You're handing yourself. You're signing up for slavery. That's what it is. See, we think slavery has to be completely involuntary. That's not true. We think slavery has to be completely unpaid. That's not true. Your ancestors had a worse form of slavery because it was pretty much involuntary and it was pretty much unpaid. But your slavery is voluntary slavery, but it's not really voluntary when you get to the point where you feel like I got to have a job. If I don't have a job, then I'm going to be homeless. So I have to go to work. How many times have you ever heard black people say, I have to go to work? Like go to a black person who works for a corporation and say, how about we take the day off and go to the movies? Why don't we take some time off and watch Netflix and chill? And how often are you going to hear that person say, oh, I can't, I got to go to work. I have to go to work. Now pay attention, listen carefully. When you say I have to go to work, you're saying you're a slave. You're saying you're a slave. You're saying like, I have to do it. I have no choice, right? You have a choice, but you have no choice, right? It's a Kanye West debate, right? Is slavery a choice? Was it not a choice? Well, Kanye was right and he was wrong. He was right and he was wrong, right? He was wrong in that, our ancestors had a terrible choice, but he was right in that they did have a choice. I mean, there's some people who did have a Nat Turner was like, I got a choice. I can either be a slave or die. Nat Turner chose to die. Frederick Douglass was like, I have a choice. Harry Tubman said, I have a choice. Either be a slave or break out, right? So it's not to say we didn't have a choice. They just had a horrible choice. It was a horrible choice, but it was still a choice nonetheless. You have a better choice, right? Your choice is either live free or die a slave, right? Your choice is either I figure out how to start a business so I can make my own money, or I go, beg from this white man for the rest of my life and let him treat me like dirt, right? Your choice is either I invest and I save my money and build wealth for my family, or I keep going, to work every day and doing what somebody tells me to do. I have a friend who's 45 years old, and she said, it's really weird to me that I have to go ask permission to use the bathroom. She works in a call center. They have to report and let them know when they're going to go pee, right? And she said, that seems a little bit weird. I said, that's because it is weird. I said, it feels weird because it is weird. It feels unnatural because it is unnatural. You're 45 years old. You're not supposed to have to ask for permission to go pee. But because because you're in, you're in the system, that's what it is. So here's where I'm going back. Let me circle back and get to my point. Please hit the thumbs up button, share and subscribe button, and make sure you subscribe to the Black Financial Channel. I'll make you smarter. I guarantee you. There's no way. Everybody, please say something in the chat so that the newcomers will know this is true. There's no way you can hang out with me for more than 3 months and not be a much smarter person, because I'm not a stupid person and I see the world in a very unique way. So if you can handle the uniqueness, if you can handle the fact that I'm not mainstream, I'm not going to tell you what everybody else has been telling you, then you're going to benefit. So somebody say something in the chat to let the newcomers know that this is really going to benefit them. So subscribe to the Black Financial Channel, theblackfinancialchannel.com. So here's my point. Here's what I'm getting at. So when this woman tells me I'm not going to invest in the stock market because I don't want to invest in capitalism, my response to her was, actually, you've been investing in capitalism your whole entire life. What I'm simply trying to help you do is to get something in return for your money. Like you already been showing up to get, you already been showing up, you know, and giving and going in the bedroom and giving somebody pleasure. You've been showing up and giving them pleasure a long time. I'm just telling you how to make it into a mutual process, because sex is supposed to be something that's enjoyed by both parties, not just the recipient. If you know what I'm talking about, I'm trying not to sound too graphic with this, but you get the point. There's a difference between good sex and selfish sex. So when you have been working for these corporations and have never invested, never received the economic benefits, the vast economic benefits of the massive amounts of money being made by these companies, then you've been engaged in very bad economic sex. You've been showing up and giving pleasure, but you're not receiving pleasure in return. It's not 69, it's 68, and I owe you one, if you know what I'm talking about. That was a little bit grown, but I'm gonna stop. But you get the point. I sometimes I have to break it down that way so you understand what I'm talking about. It's called reciprocity. Reciprocity means when I deal with you and I give something, you give something, and we both benefit, we both win, we both gain. In America, Black folks, for the most part, are put into the laboring class. That's why it's not a coincidence that they don't teach you anything about investing in ownership as a child, because they don't want you to. They can't have everybody trying to own stuff. They can't have everybody trying to invest and everybody thinking that they should be the CEO or the boss. Like, it doesn't work. The system doesn't work if you do that, right? So what I'm trying to do is help Black folks think more like the Jewish community. The Jews do not teach their children to just be laborers with nothing in return, with no ownership. They just don't, that's not part of their culture. They teach their children how to start businesses. They teach their children how to own assets. They teach their children how to buy real estate. You can go into neighborhoods, and this is not the typecast, and I hope this is not seen as anti-Semitic, because it's certainly not meant to be. It's actually a compliment. You can go into neighborhoods in the Jewish communities where literally every single building in that neighborhood is owned by a Jewish person. You can go into those neighborhoods and not even be able or allowed to buy anything in that building. I bought a rental property with Alicia, and the Asian populace, it's near campus, near the University of Chicago campus. The Asian parents of the Asian students that were going to this school have bought so many units in that building that literally they said that it's damn near an act of God for you to even get in to be able to buy one, because the minute one unit becomes available, somebody jumps in and they offer all cash for it and they buy it instantly. So a lot of times, in America, one of the things you were never educated on is that there is a vast amount of economic warfare that exists in America and beyond, because nobody wants to get stuck being the nigger in the room. Nobody wants to get stuck having to live like Black people. Everybody wants to eat off Black people, but nobody wants to live like Black people. Everybody wants to get something from Black folks, but don't nobody really want to be Black like that, right? They definitely want your culture, they want your money, and they want a lot of other things, maybe your entertainment, things like that, but they don't really want to be like you. And it's ironic, because as much as they see the value in extracting from you, they actually kind of ridicule you and don't respect you. It's no different from how those French scientists were like, we want to test the vaccine. Let's test it out on poor Africans. Anybody see that? Did you see that where they said, we should go test our vaccine on poor people in Africa? And the reason they feel that way is because they don't feel Africans and Black people have anybody really looking out for them. They think that way because they're like, well, they're kind of the only people. They're the closest thing we have to human animals. Like they're human, but they're the closest thing we have to animals. So let's just test the vaccine out on them. Ain't nobody gonna say shit. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing. Their leaders aren't gonna do anything. They're not gonna, because if they had said we're gonna go to China and test it out on poor Chinese people, the Chinese government would have been like, oh hell no, you ain't testing your shit out on us. And they've been like, oh, no, we're going to go to Spain and test it out on poor people and poor Spanish people. The Spanish government would be like, no, that's not going to happen. Right. So the question is, for Black people, where's your leadership? Where's your protection? Who has your back? Who's standing up for you? Where are your scholars? Where are your leaders? Do you think it's a coincidence that many of the most prominent Black people in America that are placed on big white platforms tend to be like rappers and people that aren't very smart or very strategic, or people that are controlled by other people? How is it that your most famous African Americans in this country tend to be people who rap for a living? Cardi B is, they throw up Cardi B, Lizzo, the Migos, I mean, it's kind of interesting, right? So what I would just challenge you guys to kind of understand is that what I'm trying to do is, and I may be failing at this, but what I'm trying to do is kind of get you to at least sort of look around and really question the sanity of the world that you live in. You live in a world where you get a lot of really bad influences. You have, so for example, whenever I'm talking about this, I'm talking this stuff that's this pro-black stuff. I already know there's already going to be, some people in there that just hate it just because, or just hate me just because, right? Or just want to find some reason why I must be a bad person, or I must be a shitty Negro, or I must not be, whatever, right? And what I'm really seeing when you're talking, like the more you talk, the more I'm observing your mental illness. Like I'm noticing, I'm like, wow, they're really working extra hard to destroy a black man who's trying his best to do something good. Why are you spending more time fighting me than you're spending fighting white supremacy? Like, what is your obsession with somehow exposing and proving that I ain't shit, and that I'm a liar, and that I'm a hypocrite, and I'm this and this? It doesn't, maybe I am. Maybe I'm a liar. Maybe I ain't shit. Maybe I am a hypocrite. But there are lots of white men who really are true hypocrites, who really truly ain't shit, that completely slip under the radar. My thought is, if I really am garbage, if I'm really speaking something that doesn't make any sense or this stupid, then maybe you should just walk away. Like I enjoy, so I think I saw a comment where somebody said, I don't like this guy. I don't trust him. I don't want to be a part of anything he's doing. And I was like, well, why are you here? Why are you making that comment? Like I have 750,000 people that follow me on YouTube. I don't need another one. I'm okay with telling you to go ahead and go. Like you should go, so my point in saying all this is to say that I think that we major in a lot of the minors. I think that we get, we're so emotional about things. We're so indoctrinated into misleading ways of thinking. And I'm not here to tell everybody to invest in the stock market. I really don't. I care. If you care, then I care. But if you don't care, then I don't care. Right? If you really want me to not care if you invest, I really don't care. I'm okay. I'm going to invest for my family. I'm going to invest for my kids. I don't speak for the people that don't want to listen. I speak for the people that do. Right. So for those who do want to listen, my goal is to encourage you to try to at least be critical of some of the ridiculously negative, toxic messages that you're hearing from black people. Like, so for example, when you hear people say, well, black people shouldn't invest because that's capitalism and capitalism is always bad. It is always bad. Like it's always really you're really saying that there's nothing good about black people investing? Or maybe you could have said it in a more nuanced way. Maybe you could have said, here are the flaws of capitalism, in which case we could have had a productive conversation and had a beer together. I don't drink beer, but I drink root beer with you, right? But Chris said, but I don't really drink beer. I don't either. I don't drink at all. But why is it that, I want to undermine this black man's message because I don't like capitalism, because some white person told me socialism is the ultimate and only solution, when I can actually explain to you in a nuanced way why both capitalism and socialism have their merits. And it's really actually the blend of the two that's beneficial. Because what's funny to me is you have a lot of black socialists out here, black folks that will swear capitalism into the ground. Like capitalism is evil, it's bad, it's terrible. And I'm not saying capitalism is good. If you follow me, I have a lot of criticism on capitalism. But you'll have a lot of really devoted socialists who don't even understand the hypocrisy behind what they're saying. Do you know how many socialists I run into who are reaching out to me to beg for money? So if your revolution is really going to work, then why ain't you got enough money to fund your revolution? Well, it's because you're not balanced. You've lost your balance. You hate capitalism so much that you create a scenario where you're always broke. And then when it comes time for you to do the real work, you can't get the work done because you ain't got enough money. So what happens to the Black socialists in many cases, not all of them, but many of them, they end up begging a capitalist to help pay their bills. Or they end up going to work for a capitalist on Monday because you were so devoted to being a socialist that you didn't even think about the economic engine behind your own activism. At the end of the day, at least in America, almost everything costs money, including activism. Moving things forward requires you to have a business model. It requires you to have some sort of ethical economic engine, a triple E, an ethical economic engine that allows you to generate enough revenue for you to continue what you're doing. So what I said to the sister who said, oh, I don't invest in the stock market because I don't want to invest in capitalism. I said two things. I said, one, you've been investing in capitalism your whole life because you probably work for a white man or work for a corporation. Or if you don't do that now, you probably have, unless you get your money out of the air or you have a trust fund like Donald Trump. And I said, number two, how are you going to be an effective socialist if you don't even have enough money to pay your bills? That's not possible. So maybe as a community, we have to find a way to have balance. I have never, ever, when people use terms like black capitalism, I stop them in their tracks. I say, no, I'm not a black capitalist. I'm not into I know capitalism really well. I'm a finance professor. I've been teaching finance for a long time. So I know capitalism and I'm like, man, I don't want to be a capitalist. That's not only uninteresting to me, but it's so unenlightened as a way of life. You know, I'm not a guy who's going to say, hey, you should invest like me so you can get you a Lamborghini. I'm not that guy. I'm not into that. But I am a person who says, maybe if you think about what you want out of life, it's not about what I want. It's about what you want. Chances are that whatever you want out of life, whatever it is that you're trying to do, whatever dream you have, Haslin or Epperson or Amber Sky or Richard Fontley, whatever dream you have in this world, I bet you everything that dream is more easily accomplished when you have enough money in the bank. Whatever it is, if your goal is to be a better parent, if your goal is to be free, if your goal is to be happy, if your goal is to go running every morning, whatever your goal is, if your goal is to change the world, I bet you anything that having an endowment and having assets in the bank will make it easier for you to reach that goal, if for anything other than the fact that having enough money means you ain't got to think about money and you can get to the business of living life. So as EYB says right here, you know, I agree with you. There is such a thing as conscientious capitalism. You know, capitalism does not have to be rape, pillage, and plunder and burn down the village and take every penny and be greedy all the time. Greed is not a healthy emotion to carry anyway. Greed, eventually, when you finish feeding on the world, you're going to feed on yourself and you're going to be feeding on your soul. So I'm not a fan of greed. That's my personal perspective. But when a sister's like, well, I'm not going to invest because I don't want to invest in capitalism. Well, if you've been going to work your whole life and you've invested, 10,000 hours a year working for a corporation, you're investing in capitalism. The only difference is that you're not getting anything from it. I want black folks to get something from it. So that's my 2 cents on it. I'm not telling you that you're wrong and I'm right. I'm just giving you a perspective and a point of view. And hopefully some of you can benefit from that. And that's why I decided to share this. Let me see here. Rosa says, I just watched the documentary. Hit the thumbs up button, by the way. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're on Facebook, please share this. If you're on Twitter, please retweet. Rosa says, I just watched a documentary on Netflix last night about Karl Marx, told by a white British person. It dawned on me that Marx was a dark-skinned man, not welcome anywhere due to his views. Again, people being exploited by capitalism of his time. Yeah, capitalism can be pretty horrible, if it's done wrong. I mean, I really think capitalism can be a terrible thing. But I don't think Marxism is the answer. I don't want to live in a Marxist society based on what I've read and what I've seen. And if you go back and you look at the societies where, whether socialism, communism, or Marxism was applied, those societies had major problems too. Major problems. don't ever get to the point where you start thinking that some other system is a complete utopia, because that's just not it. But America does have issues, like you're seeing it right now with the whole corona situation. Capitalism is the reason we're not able to properly respond to the virus. Are you familiar with Stash or Acorns apps? Any thoughts? I use them all. And by the way, I do have an investment program if you guys want to check it out. The first 30 days are $1. And it's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. That's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. So feel free to go and take a look. The first 30 days are $1. And also at the bottom is the section on what Dr. Boyce is buying. So if you want to know what stocks I'm buying, just go to the bottom of the curriculum section at theblackstockmarketprogram.com. It's all right there. Let's see. Amber Sky says, wait. Is somebody replying to Amber Sky, or is it Sam Sky? It says, no, if you look at previous comments, I actually very much agree with Boyce Watkins. Okay. Looks like y'all and they're having y'all's little disagreement. I'm going to throw some comments on the screen. We weren't taught the power of money or money as a tool, says Ernest. I agree with you. Yeah, well, you know, what's funny is Black people are very much in tune with the power of money. Like, if you listen to rappers, for the last 50 years, rappers been rapping about how they like money. That's all, you know, you see dudes rapping about, like, got gold chains, got big bars, got dollar bills, got fancy cars, right? Whatever, right? Yeah, I know that I didn't even mean for that to rhyme, and you can tell now that I'm a terrible rapper. But basically, you know, you really do have, you know, this consistent commitment to a capitalist system, unfortunately, which has really destroyed hip hop. But it's fascinating to me because it's like you want the money, but you don't want to learn how to obtain the money. Or you love the money, but nobody ever talked to you about how to control the money. Like, to me, if you really want something, you control the supply of the thing that you need, right? Unless you want to be positioned in the same way like a dope fiend is positioned. If you look at the difference, if you look at the relationship between a dope addict and a dope pusher, who has the most power? The addict or the pusher? The fiend or the dealer? Right? You know, so a lot of us position ourselves as dope fiends. We're trained to be dope fiends. We're trained to want what the system can give us, like more money. We'll work for money. We'll kill for money. Money over hoes. Money over bitches. Money over bras. Money over everything. Right? We want money, right? But then you don't know the first thing about how to actually make money. Well, then you position yourself as a dope fiend. You're making yourself addicted to a commodity that you do not control and you do not have direct access to. So you end up killing each other and beating each other up and tearing each other down and becoming crabs in a barrel, like dope fiends fighting over a vial of crack, and the pusher's just sitting back there laughing because he's connected to the Colombians. He can get all the crack that he wants. But then also he don't get high on his own supply either, you know? So they'll feed you this idea of these opportunities